Hey guys, what's up? So as you may or may not know, I did a trans women's makeup tutorial about a month ago on how to cover your shadow. Since then, that video has gotten a great positive response along with a lot of requests for me to do more makeup videos of tips and tricks for trans women. Well ladies, your wish is my command. So today we're going to be doing another makeup tutorial video. Today's video is going to focus on facial feminization through subtle contouring as well as some tips and tricks for using blush. So some of you may notice that I already have my foundation on, and I already took the liberty of drawing on my eyebrows because I look freaky without them. Points to you for being observant. That's because the type of contouring we're going to be doing today does not involve using a bunch of different shades of foundation. Because if you're anything like me, 1, you're not Kim Kardashian, and 2, you're probably not a professionally trained makeup artist. I'd like to think that I'm fairly good at what I'm doing with makeup. That being said, I have never been able to make traditional contouring look right. I'm pretty sure that would take like the makeup equivalent of a rocket scientist. I mean, I guess it kind of works in some situations, like photo shoots and nighttime, and you know, other things like that that aren't 99% of real life. And I know I'm not the only one who's gotten really frustrated with the results from trying to do that. So I did a lot of different research and trying different things out, and what I came to was a method that makes use of bronzer and concealer. Preferably you want to use bronzer and highlighter, but if you're a broke bitch, like me, totally ballin' here, concealer will work just fine. You don't have to go expensive on your bronzer either. Rimmel works just fine for me. Your bronzer should be about 2 shades darker than your foundation. What you're going to do with the bronzer is use it in some places to create the illusion of deeper shadows, and in other places to help minimize features. We're kind of focusing on what the differences are between the cisgender woman's face and the transgender woman's face. When we're getting into stuff like this, when we're talking about makeup methods that you can use to help you pass as female, I do always like to make mention that your makeup should always first and foremost be a personal expression of you. Personally, I feel like society telling any transgender woman that she should have to pass as a cisgender woman or even make an effort to pass as a cisgender woman in order to be taken seriously or respected is complete and utter bull. I do all this crap because it really helps alleviate my dysphoria. Some people do it to feel safer in public, so it's important to have stuff like this available. I just want you to always remember that whatever you do with your makeup, clothes, whatever, should always be based on what you want, not what a trans misogynist society tells you to do. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to pass, not wanting to wear makeup if it's not what you want to do, and there's also nothing wrong with wanting to pass and wanting to wear lots of makeup if it is what you want to do. Remember kids, the liberation lies in the choice. That's Feminism 101. Obviously, facial features are very diverse for cisgender women and transgender women. And obviously, they fall along bell curves with significant overlap. But on average, when you make the comparison, you find that cisgender women tend to have fuller cheeks with more prominent cheekbones, as well as a narrower bridge of the nose, a slightly smaller forehead with a lower hairline and higher eyebrows, as well as generally a narrower, more rounded chin and jawline. So those are the illusions we're going to be trying to focus on creating. So we're going to start out with our bronzer using a medium powder brush with a really kind of flat oval profile. So I'm going to pick up some bronzer on my brush and start by contouring my cheekbones by sucking in my cheeks and just kind of going along that little crease that's created to give that illusion of added depth. I start all the way back about where my sideburns would be and work until I reach kind of the corner down here where this contour meets with this contour. Now subtlety is the key of what we're doing here. We want to do this just enough to create the illusion we want. But if you really want to go crazy somewhere, this is where to do it. So now that we've got the cheekbones themselves tackled, the next thing we're going to look at is making your cheeks themselves appear fuller. So what we're talking about when we say fuller cheeks is you'll notice if you really start paying attention to the difference between people designated female at birth and people designated male at birth without any interference from hormone therapy or anything like that, is that the people designated female at birth, their cheeks kind of look like they're always smiling a little bit. They do this puffing out thingy on their own to some extent. The easiest way to make our cheeks look puffier is to create a stronger shadow right here. So we do this by smiling and then taking the brush and just dusting it this way along that crease. If you want, you can kind of connect the two contours right here. Now for this part to look right, you definitely want it to be a lot more subtle than this part. And the more you can blend that transition, the better it's going to look. So next we're going to tackle the nose. This is where we're using our bronzer not to create a shadow, but to just diminish the appearance of a feature. And you're just going to take the brush lengthwise like this and dust it up and down on either corner of the bridge of your nose. And now we're going to move on to the hairline and forehead reduction. So I do this, I load the brush, and I start in this kind of area where the hairline is most receded, and just work towards the center and then away from the center. I'm going to load the brush again before I go to the other side. Now most days this is all I do, and I don't even touch the concealer. But I know of course there are a lot of people who are also going to find the tricks that you can do with the highlighter or concealer to be really useful, so we're going to go ahead and do those too. Most of this is pretty intuitive. We can make our cheeks look fuller by going onto the places where they're fullest when we smile and adding in and blending in the highlighter. Now you want your concealer or highlighter to be about 2 shades lighter than your natural skin tone. When you're putting it on, you want to work in layers. Less is more. Put on a little bit and blend the edges of it and see how it looks, and if you need to, add a little bit more. I did about 3 blended layers on my cheeks. I went and did the rest of them in the mirror because it's kind of difficult to do my makeup in the camera preview screen a lot of the times. We already made the bridge of our nose look narrower by using the darker color to draw some of the attention away from it. Now what we can do is make it look even more narrow by adding some attention just to the very middle of it. So that pretty much does it for contouring. It's subtle, but that's exactly what we want. And as you can see in before and after shots, it really helps achieve that goal of giving the illusion of those more feminized features. So now we're going to move on to blush. Seems pretty straightforward, and it is. But there's still a couple of things that are good to know going in to get the best results. So while foundation is our best friend for achieving an even skin tone, it really robs a lot of the color from your face. So obviously you can use blush to put that color back where it goes. Now obviously the first spot our minds jump to is going to be our cheeks. But that's certainly not the only place you can use blush. You can use it on the tip of your nose, you can use it on your chin, you can use it in the corners of your forehead. The main thing is to remember when you're using it on pretty much any area aside from your cheek, you want to make sure that you're using a very small amount. I use this 10 blush palette from Coastal Scents. It costs less than $20, which is really not a bad deal for 10 different shades of blush. It's really great for anyone who has a more neutral skin tone, or even for anyone with a warm or cool skin tone who just likes to play around with what colors they're using. And the quality for the price is fantastic. Now this blush goes onto the brush heavy and powdery, so a lot of times once you've loaded the brush, you're going to want to take it and wrap it and blow it off. So I'm going to be pretty brief about blush. The main advice I want to give you is just how to use it and how not to use it if you're trying to use it to achieve more feminine looking cheeks. So one of the things that a lot of people will do at first is to apply the blush along the cheekbone like we did our bronzer for our contouring. Now if the look you're going for is to emphasize your jawline and really make it stand out and look more square, that's the perfect thing to do. But in most cases, when you're trying to feminize your features, you've already got a more square and prominent jawline than most cisgender women do, so you're not going to want to do anything that actually draws attention to that with your blush. Now I know what you're thinking, we just used bronzer right there for contouring. I don't know all the science behind it, you're just going to have to trust me on this one. For some reason, bronzer doesn't really seem to do that. Blush really does it. So instead, we're going to be putting the blush on the apples of our cheeks. You don't want to be too far in on this. The easiest way to find the apples of your cheeks is to smile and find this region where they puff out right down underneath the outer corner of your eye. We're going to work in circles like this. Now if you're going to be applying blush on other parts of your face where you want it to be a lot more subtle, don't bother with reloading the brush. If anything, wrap it off and blow it off more before you get started there. If you're going to do this, I would start with your chin and the corners of your forehead if you're going to do it there, and then make the tip of your nose the last place you go. So that pretty much does it for today. Be sure to stay tuned. My next makeup video will focus on tricks that you can use for feminizing your eyes. As always, thank you so very much for watching, and I want to give a special shout out today to my subscribers who are also patrons on patreon.com. Your continued support makes this channel possible. And if you're not a patron yet and you want to find out how to get started, just go to patreon.com/DeliaMelody. Until next time, be yourself.